here at the 2023 Insurance Diversity Summit out of the Los Angeles Insurance Building, and we're so close to the Los Angeles Central Market, where I'm gonna go later and have some delicious food there. But I'm so happy to be here with Danetta Jackson and Earl, and we're gonna talk briefly about the state of California and the resources that they have for diverse and small businesses. So really quickly, Danetta, if you could just introduce yourself and what you do at the department, and then the same thing with you, Chris. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Griselda, and I'm happy to be here. Well, my name is Danetta Jackson again, and I'm the statewide Supplier Diversity Program Manager within the State of California Department of General Services, known as DGS. Our mission is to really elevate small businesses and disabled veteran business enterprises. We are known as the business manager for the state, and we offer free certification programs for these businesses to secure contracts with state government and other government entities. Through my program, I'm actually the leader in integrating diversity strategies to really diversify our state's supplier base. So that's really why I'm here today, to share information to really get more diverse businesses into state contracting.
Thank you.
And hello, everybody. Thank you again for the opportunity. My name is Earl. I'm the Assistant Deputy Director in Southern California Regional Advisor for the Office of the Small Business Advocate. We're a division within the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, and we serve as the voice for small business, and we have 3 missional objectives. The first of which is to make sure that small businesses have the information and resources they have. Information and resources so that they can start, grow, and manage their businesses. And we do that in a couple of different ways, obviously through direct marketing and outreach, but also through a hub and spoke model, which we service the hub and we provide funding directly to business resource providers like a procurement center, a SBDC, or Women's Business Center. And we provide funding to those types of organizations so that they can go support their communities at no cost. So they're not charging you, the business owner. And so they provide services in a myriad of areas. So if you're looking for capital, if you're looking for assistance on, hey, I want to do procurement, but I don't know where to begin. I don't even have a business form. What do I do, right? So before you go and talk to Danetta and her team, you want to come over to one of our centers, help them get your business established, get some of the foundational pieces together. And then once you've kind of got an understanding for where you want to go, then you can go and talk to Danetta, because they're going to have a lot of learning for you as you get into the procurement vertical. So we want to make sure that you're prepped and ready to go before you take that next phase in your business evolution. And so the second part of that is providing direct funding to businesses. So since December of 2020, we've given out about $4 billion in grants directly to small businesses in various different business segments as well as industry sectors. And I'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. And lastly, it's just being an advocate for small business, really working on legislation that can move the needle in a positive way for small businesses. So thank you again for the opportunity.
That's great. Thank you so much. So, you know, we've talked about how the commercial procurement process it can be very different from the, you know, state procurement process, right? So I want, Danetta, if you could tell us a little bit about, you know, what are any opportunities that you're aware of available for diverse businesses that can also include small businesses.
Right. Well, I will say that the opportunities are immense in state contracting. We have our Cali Procure is our California government marketplace, and daily we have like over 300 plus bids opportunities there posted by the various state departments. The state spends about $10 to $12 billion annually in goods, services, IT goods and services, and public works. We consistently meet our small business goal of 25% and 3% for DVBEs. We have a streamlined process specifically for small businesses and DVBEs called the Small Business DVBE option. And many state departments utilize that option to meet their goals, and it's up to $250,000. State departments are only required to get 2 quotes from either 2 certified small businesses or 2 certified disabled veteran business enterprises, and the threshold is up to $388,000 for public works. We also have an emergency registry. Emergency spend was on a rise these past few years due to all of the emergencies with COVID and the wildfires. So we really encourage small businesses and DBBs, if they are certified, to also sign up for our emergency if they are ready and able to provide emergency services to the state of California. I think that's about it. All I will say is that the state is an attractive business partner. There are immense opportunities, and all you need to do is, get your business set up utilizing CalOSBA's recommendations and their network, and get your business certified as a small business or disabled veteran business enterprise or both.
Thank you. So Chris, could you give me specific resources that, I know you mentioned the funding to procurement centers and SBDCs to support the small business community, but you spoke about funding directly to the businesses.
Yes.
So could you give me specific examples of resources, maybe in the past or
Sure.
that are upcoming? Because I think that a lot of people don't know that this is money that's there for, basically, I believe it's a process that you have to apply, but it's there for them directly.
Right.
And they don't have to pay it back.
That is correct. Right. So I'll start with a little bit of historical information, then I'll kind of move to what's existing right now. So I'll start with COVID, because we know that was a very impactful time for small businesses. And during that process, during 2020, the governor initiated an emergency authorization for small businesses to get funding. Our office received about $4 billion during that time through the Small Business COVID Relief Program to issue out to small businesses of grants of up to $25,000, and it was basically across many different business sectors and industry types, so it was very general in nature. And as long as the business was, the company was in business by a certain date, then they were eligible for that funding. So since that time, we've had, I guess you could say, maybe 9 or 10 other different grant programs. So in combination, we've given out over $4 billion in grants to about 350,000 California small businesses, and that's one requirement, is just that they have to be domiciled in California. And so more recently, we've had other programs that support the nonprofit communities as well as live event venues. We had a really large program focused on that. And so now currently we have 3 programs that are in our queue. The first of which is the Drought and Flood Relief Agricultural Program. So this program is essentially 2 types of grant programs rolled into one. So during the 2022 budget year, we were approved for $75 million in funding for drought businesses that were affected by drought. And we're looking at agricultural type of businesses. And so as we got into Q1 of 2023, we had a lot of the weather, that we had impactful weather. And then subsequently, more recently here in the summer. And so there was an additional $20 million added to that program that's specifically directed for businesses that were affected by flood in a disaster area. So when you look at the state of California, 54 out of 58 of our counties were declared disaster areas. So we have a vast majority of the state that has a geography eligibility. So then you just have to be able to show how you were impacted during the floods and, kind of go through that application process. But that program is out and available right now. The next one is we have a supplemental sick leave. So for example, it's better to give an example than to give you the legislative language, but businesses pay out costs for COVID during the year. So if, for example, you have an employee that's out for the mandatory, I don't know if it was 5 or 7 last year, but they're out for the mandatory time for COVID. At the same time, you have to bring in another person to backfill. So the business is essentially incurring double hit, right? So we want to reimburse those businesses of up to $50,000 if they can show documented payroll that they recorded their COVID time appropriately. And so that program is still active. There was a $250 million allocation for that. And then lastly, we have our social enterprise program, which is very new. It's in its infancy, but we have a program focused on, it's called CA Rise, Regional Initiative for Social Enterprises. And we're really looking to provide infusion of capital into this business segment so that these types of businesses can really help in growing their sustainability. They have challenges with retaining employees, or even, these types of organizations look very similar to nonprofits where they have a lot of volunteer type of employees. So we really wanted to help those businesses scale, right? And so we're working with our national partner program lead called Redif, and they're kind of the national leader in the social enterprise space. So they'll be able to provide the technical assistance and support for the organizations wanting to, maybe they're an existing nonprofit or an existing for-profit. And this program is specifically for certified social enterprises. So I just want to clarify, that means you have the benefit corporation designation with the Secretary of State. And so there is a formal business formation or conversion that has to take place. So just assess that for your business, but there is funding of grants between $250,000 and $500,000 in this program. And so this program will be rolling out here in the next, I'd say, don't hold me to this, but maybe about a month or so, something along those lines. So we're very close to releasing that program as well. And so those are the current opportunities. And if you just kind of look back over the last year or two, these programs kind of come in hot sometimes. And so what I know today may be different 30, 60, 90 days from now. There could be others that pop up here. So
that sounds great. That sounds like a lot of money there for, businesses that need it. So I'm really happy to hear that, the resources. I want to end with a shout out to the Department of General Services, because I think, like you said, you're managing the procurement for the state, but also the certification aspect for the small businesses. And so I think I want us to tell us about the certification, process briefly, because I think that could be like one really good thing that small businesses do to differentiate themselves when they're applying, right? And if you could tell us about the certification program and how that can benefit someone when they're bidding for a contract.
Yes, absolutely. So as I mentioned earlier, we have certification programs specifically for small businesses domiciled here in California. Owners and officers must be in California. Your business must have 100 or fewer employees, and your gross annual receipts must be under 16 million. So essentially, if you meet that criteria, you can apply for our small business certification program. We also have the Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise Certification Program. As long as you have a 10% service-connected disability, you would qualify for that as well. And then we have the Small Business for Public Works Certification Program. And technically, that's only for small businesses that exceed the 16 million gross annual receipts. So just because you do public works, you don't necessarily have to apply for that certification if you still fall within the small business certification criteria. And our certification programs really position your business to secure state contracts because, one, you are placed in an exclusive database specifically for certified businesses. State departments utilize that database daily to find businesses because now we have a 25% mandatory goal that all departments must meet through recently signed legislation, which is Assembly Bill 2019. So it is essential that businesses, if they're interested in government contracting, get certified with the state. And I'll also add that we have reciprocity with 40 plus other cities, counties, transportation agencies that will accept our small business certification. Our most recent reciprocity agreement was formed with the University of California Schools. So all the UCs accept DGS's certification. So that is really, those are some of
That
the
is huge.
features of why businesses should pursue our certification program.
Yes, and I think when we hear certification, that can be a scary word, because in the commercial space, a lot of times, unless you're doing work with, corporate offices that ask you for that, you're not really used to, like, what's a certification? Like, well, I know I'm a diverse owner, why do I need to certify that? Or I know I'm a small business, why do why do you need to certify that? But the process itself, it's not that painful. I mean, there are things that you should already be doing, right? Like keeping your books and having your business licenses. And, that's, I think it's information that we already have as we're running our businesses. So it's not something that's immediate, but it's not as terrible as you might think it is. And I can speak as a certified small business that once you do it, I mean, the process of recertifying or renewing your certification, I think it's every couple of years or so. It's almost like self-reporting. You upload some documents to the eProcure
Yes.
portal, and I mean, immediately they review that, and you get your certification letter. And I do know that sometimes they even have if you have a bid that's coming up and you don't have your certification, I mean, you can even put that as an alert, like, oh, I'm applying for a contract and they're asking for a certification. So I encourage everyone, if you're making under $60 million per year in revenues, or you have fewer than 100 employees, and you are in the state of California, there's no reason why you shouldn't, go through that certification process. Before we end, please tell us, how do we learn more about the programs? How do we learn more about accessing that money that's there for us? Funding for the SBDC, for the procurement centers, but also funding to the businesses that we don't have to pay back. It's not, it's not an investor, it's not equity, it's not a loan, it's just money that's there. We apply, we qualify, we get it. I like that. So how do we find more information about those resources?
Sure. So first thing you need to do is go to calosba.ca.gov. That is our website of our office. And then if you scroll to the bottom of that page, you can sign up for our newsletter. You will get up-to-the-minute updates on every program that we have. And then also, I would just say periodically check out the California Grants portal. You'll have links to some of the available grants there, not only from my office, but also other offices. And also, lastly, you can take down our email, CalOSBA at gobiz.ca.gov. That is our email. So if you have any questions or anything about any of the programs or grants, please email us there directly.
Yes. And for the state, you must go to caleprocure.ca.gov. That's caleprocure.ca.gov. That is our California government marketplace. There you will find information on how to register as a supplier, training information, certification information, and more. So please, just remember that website, and that's where you obtain all the information you need to do business with the state of California.
Well, thank you so much, Chris, Earl, and Danetta Jackson. I am Griselda Gonzalez with CG Moving Company out of the Bay Area and Sacramento, and I'm a volunteer member of the Diversity Task Force for the Department of Insurance. So so happy to have learned more about the programs, and I'm excited to learn even more. So I'll be checking the website. I'm really interested in those grants now. Thank you guys for watching, and ladies too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.